This video will be explaining the 4 phases of offense. This is a new way of framing and thinking about the way that we run our offense. The 4 phases of offense is the read option, chunk yards, red zone, and resets. As we can see with this flow chart, we can go from the read option to chunk yards and chunk yards to red zone. And when we're in any one of those phases, we can go back and forth with resets. So what does this mean? Well, the read option, the goal here is to create inertia. This is when we're doing something like a pull play. Maybe we're breaking the ice when the defense gets us locked up. This could also be a preset play off the turn. The goal of the read option is to change the attack angles, to beat a bracket or a poach, and to create a connection between the handlers and the cutters to get them to mesh together. This is the hardest phase of the 4, and it will give us the lowest amount of yards. Our goal here is to focus on getting to the chunk yards phase. So what is that? Chunk yards phase is gaining positive yards. After we've broken out from that iced up position that we were in at the start of a point, this is just the meat and potatoes of the offense. This is what we used to call a cutter continuation throw or flow, basically just trying to gain as many yards as possible as quickly as possible. In order to do this, we're going to use aggressive, powerful cuts under, deep, and to the break side. And basically, we're just going to keep riding this wave of momentum until we get ourselves we have to stop and do a reset, or if we get so close to the end zone, we have to transition to the red zone phase. So the goals here is to gain high amount of yards, have really simple play, so there's not a miscommunication when you're moving at such a high speed. And in order to stay here for as long as possible, we need confident cutters, confident cuts, and confident throws. So the red zone, when we're 10 or 20 yards away from the front of the end zone, we will transition into a red zone phase of offense. And the goal here is to have high efficiency. The fundamental difference with red zone versus chunk yards or read option is that there is no more possibility of a deep threat, right? We're just going to throw it out the back of the end zone, so that is no longer an option. So instead, we have to really focus on lateral play as opposed to front to back play. So because of that extra emphasis on going laterally, we must attack the break side in motion. And we want to vary our attacking space and the attacking cutters. And so for this, it's going to be a lot heavier on the handlers. The handler is going to do plenty of swings and motion laterally side to side to create and generate all these looks. And whatever look is created, the cutters just have to take. So if there's momentum towards the flick side, the cutters should just keep on threatening that flick side, force the defense to stay honest, and it can pull the defense away such that the next time that there's handler motion, it could create an opportunity somewhere else. So you're not just cutting because you want to score. You want to do a cut to pull the defense and open up space for your teammates. Efficiency in the red zone is what wins the game. You must be patient. It's so easy to get so excited when there's only 2 yards to go before scoring that you try and jam the disc in, and it's a risky throw and you get a turnover, and that's an absolute heartbreaker. The last phase is the resets phase, and the goal of the resets phase is to sustain play. So no matter what phase of offense we are already in, we can transition into a reset. And from a reset, we can go into any of the other phases. So this is really a nice transition from phase to phase modality of thinking. And the goal here is to change the attack angle and to ultimately get the disc into a handler's hands. So let's just say that we're in the chunk yards phase. Eventually, we're going to run out of cutters. We're going to run out of space to go. And if we haven't scored yet, we want to, instead of just forcing that over and over and over, we're just going to stop doing these riskier and riskier plays as people are sprinting past from behind. There's no one that's already ahead of the play. So you'll do a reset, get the disc back to a handler, get a nice clean setup again, and then play goes on. Coming out of a reset, if we happen to do a reset into nice big open space, we can bounce right back into chunk yards if the defense was not able to properly ice us out. So this can change the pace, right? We can go from a very slow situation, do a little bit of a reset, and then just blow the game open by moving ourselves over to the break side, gaining huge chunk yards. Or on the other hand, we can go from really high tempo with all these chunk yards, gaining tons of yards, to quickly transitioning right back into something like a red zone offense, where it's going to be a lot more slow and methodical and efficient. So when we're doing resets, do not focus on gaining yards. You can do resets by doing strikes and forward cuts, but if it's not there, we shouldn't force it. We should take whatever's available to us. On the other hand, if we were to go for a negative yard reset, we don't want to throw away too many yards for free. It's really easy. We could just throw like a 30-yard, negative throw, and it will get us away from the rest of the play. It'll get it back to the handler. It will, on paper, accomplish a lot. However, it burns so many yards, it's probably not worth it. Next note here is to balance shown space and powerful reset cuts. Based on the way the defense positions on us, they'll have a shown space side, and then the other side is the one that they're defending, and you'll have to use a powerful cut in order to get past them. We're going to be a balanced approach. We'll be able to do both, so that we cannot be corralled by the defense, and we still have plenty of agency. Additionally, one single reset cut is usually not enough. So we're going to be focusing on creating combos in order to get the disc off the sideline, maybe to turn it into a side-to-side transition, or to get the disc into a very specific person's hands at the end of the combination. Or really it just gives us more opportunities and options to transition back into a different phase. And so we can use this to set up any of the other phases depending on the greater context of the game. So this is a point that I picked out. It does a great job of demonstrating the 4 stages of offense that we want. And it is a game between Sockeye and Pony for the 2019 Club National Championship. Sockeye is receiving, and if they score this point, then they win nationals. So I'm just going to play this clip through once. I'm not going to interrupt it, but then I will play it through again a second time, except I will be providing commentary, pausing, so on and so forth. So let's just watch it through once and see if you can identify all 4 stages of offense that are shown in this clip.
Matty Russell, Jacob Janin, Bryce Dixon, along with Phil Murray for Seattle Sockeye, looking to close out a U.S. Open title. It would be their second. Underneath, Raider. Thought about the deep shot for Janin. Instead resets for Montague. Former Carlton star dishes to Murray. Raider again calmly distributes to Russell. Here's Freechild. Only 2 breaks in the entire game, both from Seattle, has Sockeye in position to wrap up the U.S. Open Championship right here. Montague breaks the mark, and Murray shoots it to Freechild, and that will end it.
All right, so hopefully you were able to pick out the different stages of offense that Sockeye went through for that point. They were exhausted, so there was no just breakaway sprint for the finish, and Pony was doing an effective job guarding them as well. Sockeye actually had to fight for it. It was not a free point. So let us rewind, and we're going to go through step by step. So this replay, we're running it back at half speed because a lot of things happen quickly. From catching of the pull to catching of the point is just 1 minute and 3 seconds. So going half speed, we'll hopefully be able to catch quite a bit more. So opening up, the first throw goes straight to the center. And now from here, he could look to throw for forward yards, but it looks like there's just no activity coming out of the Cutters. Could be exhaustion, could just be their game plan. I'm not going to judge the decisions that they make in terms of strategy, but we can just see how they play it out. So he catches it and seems to immediately continue that swing. And then from that swing, there's the net immediate cut. So that looks like a set opening play. In fact, it looked like they were running an H stack, but there's only 3 people here. There's only 6 people on screen. I have no clue where the 7th person is. If you were paying attention, you could see a 7th person who's going this direction, but we don't know where he is. So this looks like a set play to me to leave this lane wide open and this guy to come across laterally. So now we make this catch, and at this moment, that is the read option, right? Now we have run a set play, we gained some yards, we opened up some space. Now we can see if we can cash in and gain some chunk yards. Okay, there's the 7th guy, right? So he's hanging back. So clearly this is a set play, right, where he comes across, receives the disc, and then this deep set player, he's already set up in a position where he could go in or out depending on, the read of the situation. And clearly he chooses to go out and does not get looked at because that's the same third hook. Okay, second player is looked off. So now at this point, we tried to go into a chunk yards line of thinking, but our 2 looks did not work. Okay, the guy that started here, we can back up to see that. The guy that started here, for whatever reason, decided not to take the inside, and he clears to the outside and was not thrown to. So our secondary player here went for a cut, and for whatever reason was also not thrown to. So now we can see that we are looking for a reset, right? The eyes are now going for negative yards, looking at his teammate who has quite a bit of separation off of his opponent. Of course, by pulling the defender this way, it will open up this under space. So we have 2 reset options opening up simultaneously. Okay, looks off the first one, looks off the second one. That player who had run deep previously was turning back around. So all in the course of just a few seconds of holding the disc, we went from a chunk yards mentality to a reset mentality, and now this is gaining positive yards again. Whether you want to call that a read option or chunk yards, right? It's up to you. But there is a change in modality. There is a change in thinking. Okay, we can see that Sockeye clearly was moving as if they were running a reset, and this teammate happened to just take the open opportunity to gain a few yards. So it looks like nothing happened, but in reality, a lot happened. All the players were dialed in to one modality or another over the course of that short stall count. Okay, he receives the disc. And now we're looking again, see if we can get some continuation throws. Okay, there's this continuation look here. Looks it off. He chooses to go reset. Okay, we have a second reset option here. And it gets taken, right? So remember, resets happen in patterns or in combinations. So there was one reset to this player, and this guy kind of stalled out in front, gave himself an option to go both ways, but another reset option was considered for this big open swing. It was not taken, and it goes to this guy here. Sorry, I don't know anyone's name on these teams, and it's a little too blurry to make them out anyways. Okay, reset turns into another swing. Now this player, where did he come from? Okay, he's upfield right here, and he's going to run diagonally across the field towards the logo. simply taking the open space. Great. This is a perfect opportunity to see if you can convert all of that back into a chunk yards opportunity, right? If you wanted to get really picky, you could make the argument that this guy here receives it and he's no longer looking for a reset. There is no one in the backfield to reset to. The only person that's kind of close to reset is leaving. So we could say that we rolled right back into a read option, right? Taking a look at the field, taking a look at the choices that you have, seeing that your teammate here has all of this open space because one guy's leaving, probably going to get picked up by this defender. So this entire area in the back half of the USA Ultimate logo is open, and you have a teammate who's largely unguarded. Okay, great. We got some good space. Let's see if we can get some chunk yards out of it. Right, chunk yards. He's looking right here for Free Child. I do know that guy's name. Okay, a little more chunk yards. Can we get any more continuations out of this? We're looking at a player here. We're looking at a player deep. We've got another threat here, but he's rolling back into a reset position. And there we go. Get a little reset. Okay, this was looking like nothing. Okay, we have an opportunity here. Doesn't seem to turn into anything. As a note, I think one of the big reasons why this second one isn't taken is because if you pay attention to just how close everything is here, it's actually really hard to release a flick when the defender is backed up so far. So he kind of used his butt to guard this by shrinking the window of release for player number 9, but in doing so, he gave up a free and easy reset. Okay, so there was one reset. There is no one here to reset for a combination. So now we are back into a read option. He's taking a look at the field, taking a look at the cutters, seeing what kind of open space he can do to get that first throw to break the ice of the defense. And we can see that this player here got his defender twisted. If you watch him, he came out, spun around, cut back in, and his defender got really twisted up. So that is a nice pickup right in the middle of the field. Let's see if we can gain some chunk yards out of this. He's looking for the continuation. Defender slips on the ground. Easy pickup. Great, we just gained another couple yards. Is there another play? We've got one look. We've got two looks. We don't like them. Okay, let's reset. You don't need to do several continuation throws in a row in order to succeed. Just one continuation throw, just two continuation throws gains significant yards. So even though there is so many resets happening, because in between each set of resets there's one or two forward throws, Sockeye is able to incrementally push themselves down the field. And remember, this is all happening incredibly fast. Only 63 seconds for this entire point to play out. So these guys are being incredibly decisive. Now, if we note down here, there is a stack getting set up. So previously, we had an H-stack look, right? Now, they're in a vert stack look. Okay, this is a very popular end zone offense. So in this moment, Sockeye feels like they are close enough to the end zone to justify switching the phase to an end zone or a red zone phase of offense. Let's go back and take a look at that transition. Just 10 seconds earlier, things are all really messy here. Get that reset, and as this reset is happening, notice how the players are starting to line themselves up. They're all starting to collect in the middle. So these little resets happening here is buying time for the downfield players to set themselves up appropriately. Okay, he picks up, he looks, we've got that nice vert, and now they're starting to execute their end zone offense. Okay, it is typical in an end zone vert for the front of the stack to be active. Okay, so this guy right here is clearly the front of the stack. maybe, his team wanted him a little bit farther back. Maybe they wanted to do kind of like a pseudo ISO. With T. Rexburg, we historically like to do an ISO where you pull a ton of players out of the way, create a one-on-one matchup for someone to beat, right? This seems like a blend of two different styles of offense. But regardless, okay, he gets that one-on-one, gets the IO flick, okay, nice and safe, right? He has this huge amount of space on that one-on-one matchup, very reliable throw. And as he's catching it, we can already see Freechild is making his cut to this corner for the game-winning score. And that's a national championship by rapidly switching through the different phases and modalities and ways of thinking about offense. You can have a very low risk, high effectiveness attack.